Chapter 3, Section 6 is about fitting a line to data. So we're actually going to look at some real data here and put a line, okay, fit a line to that data so that we can talk about the data in general. So we've got some definitions to go over first. Okay, first one is scatter plot. It's just a set of data points. Okay, it's all put together in usually the first quadrant. Okay, and it's just a bunch of points that are not connected. Line of best fit tries to put a line, okay, in the middle of those points where as many points as possible are on that line or fall close to that line. The correlation coefficient is R, okay, and that talks about how well does that line actually describe that data, okay? So is it very close to it or is it not very a good descriptor, okay, and we'll talk about that. The range is always between -1 and 1, okay, so a perfect correlation is 1 or -1 and anything in between, okay, so that's the range. This sign tells you the direction. So if your R is positive, okay, then it's going to be a positively sloped data. If it's negative, it's going to be in a negative direction. Okay, the magnitude is called the strength. So 1 is perfect. Something like 0.2 would not be a very strong correlation. Okay, it wouldn't have a lot of, it wouldn't be very close to that line. It would not be a very good fit. Okay, so here's kind of how you could put that together in a visual representation. Okay, so if this was our R, we would have the positive over here, where this perfect one would be like a +1 over here, and a -1, okay, and then 0 is no correlation at all. So the closer to 1 you get, the stronger you are. The closer to 0 you get, the weaker you are. Okay, and positive or negative, it doesn't matter. That just tells you the direction. It does not talk about the strength. Okay, so if we take a look at this set of data, these scatter plots, the first one, hopefully we realize is going down. Okay, so that would be a negative correlation. And I would say most of those points fall close to a line. So I would say that is a strong negative. The second one, okay, is definitely going in a positive direction. So that would be positive. I would say those dots are not very close to a line, so I would call that a weak positive. The third one, I don't know if that looks like a line at all. So I'm going to go with a none there. Okay, it doesn't look like any linear relationship. I can't tell if there's a relationship, so I'll go with a none. And that fourth one definitely looks like a positive, and I'm going to call that a strong. I think most of those look like they're close to a line. So that's how you would kind of describe different scatter plots. So if I try and do example A, it says use linear regression to find an equation of the line through -1, 5 and 2, -4. And what is the correlation coefficient and what does that mean? Okay, so this is where we need our calculators. So what you're going to want to do is get out your calculator here. Okay. Okay, so in your calculator, what you're going to be looking for is your stat button. So it's 2 over from the alpha. So here's your stat button right here. Okay, so right here, 2 over from your alpha. And what you want to do is you want to edit it first. So your option is edit. So I'm going to hit enter. Okay, if you have stuff in there, you can go ahead and highlight your L1, hit clear, and then your arrow down. So I'm going to clear out all of my data by selecting that and then arrowing down. So into my first column, I'm going to put my x's. So I'm going to type in -1, hit enter, and then my other x is 2, and I'm going to hit enter. I'm going to arrow over to column 2. -1 was paired up with 5, and then 2 was paired up with -4. Okay, so I hit enter, so I have 2 points. So your first step is to get the data in there. Okay, now that I have that done, I'm going to go back to my stat, that same button. I'm going to arrow over to calculate, okay? And it told us linear regression. So number 4 says LINREG, linear regression. So I'm going to go ahead and hit enter, okay? It blinks at me, so it says, okay, hit enter again. And then it tells me y equals ax plus b, where a is -3 and b is 2. Okay, so when it says use linear regression to find an equation, here's my equation. All you need to write is y equals -3x plus 2. Okay, so I plugged in -3 for my A and I plugged in 2 for my B, so here's my equation. Now it also asked me for my correlation coefficient, which we wrote down was our letter R. Now our calculator is supposed to tell us that. However, mine is not, and maybe many of yours is not either. So this is a process we're just going to do once. You need to go to second, and then your catalog is down here above your 0 and hit 0. and then scroll down to diagnostic on. So scroll, scroll, scroll all the way down to diagnostic on. Okay, this gets turned off if you play games a lot, so you might have to do this more than once. So diagnostic on, I'm going to hit enter, and I'm going to hit one more time so it says done. So I'm going to retry doing that linear regression. So I'm going to hit stat, I'm going to arrow over to calculate, I'm going to try linear regression again. I'm going to hit enter, and now I have an r squared and an r. Okay, so now it should pop up for you all the time. So my r is -1, just like my calculator told me. So what does this mean? Well, it means this is a perfect negative, because 1 is a perfect correlation, and then the negative means it's in a downward spiral, which means that those 2 points that we put in fall exactly on that line. So it's a perfect line, both points are on there, and it's in a negative direction. So that is a perfect negative. Okay? So example B is giving us a table with a lot more information in it. Okay, so let's go ahead and try this again, because that's a good thing to review. So I'm going to go back to my stat. I'm going to hit edit, and so I'm going to hit enter, and I can actually just type over that. So in my left column, I'm going to type in my years. So I've got 0, 1, and I'm just entering between all of these. Okay, so I have 0 through 7, and then in my list 2s, I'm going to type in my second column. So 25, 399, oops, just make sure you type them in accurately. 26, 88, 29, 424, 34, 095, 36, 564, 39, 539, 42, 909, and last one is 45, 405. Okay, hit enter. Make sure that they're all matched up right. Make sure you put your data in, okay? And if you do, then you remember, then we're going to go back to stat. We're going to arrow over to calculate. We're going to choose option 4, which is linear regression. We're going to hit enter one more time so that that pops up. And there is my A value, my B value, and my R. So for part A, where it says write the equation, that's going to be y equals, and that whole thing goes together, 3063.82x. Oh, I'm kind of writing off to the side here. Okay, let me grab up my smart notebook here, since that's writing off to the side here. So we've got y equals 3063.82x plus 24,194.5. Okay, and you can just give me one decimal. So then it says, according to your regression equation, how many international travelers in the United States would you expect in year 2000? Well, since here we're talking about years since 1985, 2000 is 15, so you need to plug in 15 for x and then compute it. And if you get that, you should get about 70,151. Make sure you can get that number on your calculator, so try that, okay? The R on our calculator said 0.994. Please always give me 3 decimals when you do that, and do not round it, okay? So just truncate it, chop it off, 0.994. And what does it tell me? Okay, well that's strong because it's very close to 1, and it's positive. Okay, so what does that mean about the data though? It means that there's a strong relationship between the years and number of travelers in a positive direction. You could also say something along the lines of, as more years pass, more travelers are traveling, because that means positive. As one goes up, they both go up. Okay, so that is pretty much all of section 6, which is just practicing using your calculator and fitting the linear combinations. If you have the TI Inspire, the directions are pretty much the same. Your buttons are just kind of in different areas, so hopefully you can find that. If not, come on in tomorrow and I will hopefully be able to show you. Okay, that's it for section 6.